OMG, baby, tell them.
All right, hey there, welcome to Powered by Backers. It's Justin. I am here. It's Ask the Experts. I have Jennifer James. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining me on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, how are you doing today? Good? You ready to get at it? All right, perfect. So I'll do a very quick intro. I'm sure we got a lot to talk about, but Jennifer, you are the founder of Double J Lifestyle, as well as the co-founder, along with your husband, of Admit One Productions, which we'll get into, and I don't want to really touch on it, but you're going to talk all about it. You guys have done a lot of cool things with regards to producing some cool indie films, videos, movies, documentaries, all kinds of things. So why don't we start off with that? Tell us a little bit about Admit One Productions.
Yes. Oh my goodness. What a journey. Admit One started back in 2007 when I met my husband.
Okay.
And actually, maybe you would say that Admit One started before I met my husband. I met my husband in 2007. And that feels like so long ago when I say that out loud.
13, 14 years ago, depending, 12, 13, 14, right. Somewhere around there. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And ever since we started Admit One, we've always been about being committed to capturing stories, and we're about storytelling.
Okay.
That's the heart of what we do. We take people on storytelling journeys, and we started that with creating a documentary film. That was a passion project that my husband had been working on before we met.
Okay.
And and the documentary world is a very, very different world. We spent the first 7 years of our lives, blood, sweat, and tears, everything that we had, committed, dedicated, pursuing the passion of this project. I can't even tell you, that was literally the sweat and soul of my husband. And it's called the Global Groove Network.
I was going to say what? Yeah, let everyone know what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, the Global Groove Network. It's still, the brand is still alive today, alive and well. In social media, and we ended up selling the documentary to CBC as an exclusive.
Okay.
And then eventually going global through Hulu and Amazon. And
cool.
It was such a journey, a lot of learning, a lot of growth.
And so I have a lot of questions that I'll ask, and I know we talked briefly about this before, but I want everyone to hear some of it. So Global Groove Network, just tell us the premise of it. So I think that's a pretty cool sort of, that maybe ties into a couple other questions I have. Tell us the premise of that and the importance of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Global Groove Network in itself is about how music shapes identity.
Right.
Everybody has a soundtrack to their lives, and I think everybody can relate to that.
Yeah.
When you think about your life and the music that you attach to through the story of your life, you can automatically think of at least one or two songs that are the soundtracks to your life.
Yeah.
And so really it's the journey, and Courtney takes you on his own personal journey of the soundtrack of his life and the connectivity that he has through music and how he cultivates his identity, all through the core growth and vulnerability that he has and the core essence of his life and that journey that unfolds.
Right.
And there's a lot of different chapters in the documentary that kind of connect identity back to music.
As most people have different chapters in their life, right?
Exactly.
And we've joked about some of the different musical chapters in our lives that maybe overlap a little bit. You know, for me, it was,
that's right.
And in the youth, it was more sort of hip hop, R&B a little bit, and then sort of merged into sort of the dance, which now maybe is called EDM, house,
EDM,
right? So tell us, about, so music is life, I think is maybe a quote I've seen or heard. And I feel where he's coming from, where, definitely there's certain times of your life where if you picked a song that brings you right back to, whether it's, grade 9 first dance, or, your wedding day, or, certain things, certain points in school. So, or your childhood, right? So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's like music is the heartbeat of your life. It can be kind of like, can be like the heart and soul. And to your point, it can kind of take you back to that moment
Yeah.
So like in a second, like in the split second.
Yeah.
And some people, sometimes you don't even realize why. You're like, you're sitting there, you're driving your car, and all of a sudden you're thinking about like a memory, like, you know, back grade 8 high school dance or something like that. And you don't even realize it's actually the song that you're listening to that's actually connecting you back to that moment.
Yeah.
But music has such a power to do that.
Yeah.
And
I just thought of a crazy thing about driving though. Have you ever been driving?
Mm-hmm.
You thought of a song, you turn on the radio, and that song's playing, like that you maybe haven't heard in, you know, whatever period of time. I don't know. That's just a crazy side thought, but yeah, maybe you're all on the same wavelength, right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, I love when that happens, by the way. I think that absolutely.
We're like in tune with the world. It's either that or it's proof that we're in the Matrix. I don't know, one or the other, right? So,
that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other conversation for another day. Exactly. So, okay, tell us a little bit. So obviously you had a long run, you know, and you guys are still doing this, right? This is, you know, I think from our conversation, it's almost like you live two lives, right? You've got sort of your day job, which would have been,
that's right.
You know, you worked in sort of a number of different, I guess what you call them, retail type, you know, consumer product, consumer goods type businesses. You know, you were with, I think Loblaws, Metro.
Recently,
yes. So a few, you know, a few of those. So tell us, you know, what, I mean, what's the background of you before maybe getting into the
film,
you know, the film and that industry, and tell us sort of what brought you there, and then we'll talk about what you're doing now, I guess.
For sure. So I would say even before I met Courtney and before my journey into film and television, I, right out of university, I went straight into retail, marketing, all of that industry.
Right.
I went straight to work, and I've been in this industry for over 20 years now.
Okay.
Whether it be, and that's where Double J lifestyle kind of came to life.
Right.
And it's really about ultimately creating purpose and changing lives, and doing that by helping people manage through change, helping businesses, entrepreneurs manage through change. Right. And every job that I've had with a lot of the work that I've done has been in retail, has been in the retail industry. I've worked with all of the major retailers. You're talking about a few of them there. I've recently working with Loblaws, spent time with Metro, way in my past with Sears, when Sears was still alive, Canadian Tire.
Wow, so the whole gamut of every big box store you can think of, right?
Yeah.
Across the Canadian spectrum.
Across the Canadian spectrum. So even Giant Tiger. Wow. And I would say that while that has always been a lot of my core focus and working with big retailers, whether it be directly with the retailer or working in an agency environment, then that was kind of, to your point, my hat during the day, and then by night, kind of working as a producer,
super producer woman by night,
working
mild meek marketing rep by day, right?
That's right. I started to, when we built our production company back in 2007, or started to build and had the idea that we wanted to have a production company, it was kind of like, okay, so now I have to wear two hats. I have to be able to do all of this work that I'm kind of passionate about during the day and figuring that piece out, and then rolling into the production company at night, and really being, I would say, more on the back end, the producing side, the business side of things, while my husband is really the creative the side, writer, the director, and in front, and really working with the people in front of the camera. So
cool. That's awesome. I mean, that's a lot. It sounds like a lot of work.
A lot of work.
You have to really, 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 really be into it to really want to, you know, continue to do both for such an extended period of time. Like we're talking, you know, 10 plus years, right?
Yes.
You know, full on for both. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, keeping sort of the same concept, but you mentioned Double J, you're talking about change. You've worked in two, I would think, industries, that are facing significant change. And are going through some significant change. What are you seeing in both of those industries and in some of the, in some of the clients that you're working with, what are some things that are happening? Let's talk about the industries, the two industries first. What are you seeing sort of in the film production TV industry, even just in the past 6 weeks, or, I think it was probably already changing for, a few years now, right? I think there's been a lot of things, especially with Netflix and different things happening. And then obviously retail more recently. But what are your thoughts on what's happening in those industries?
So I would say, I'll talk about film and television first.
Okay.
So
put your Nostradamus hat on, right? Your future.
I'm gonna be I'll go one side and then I'll go the other.
Yeah, tell us the globe. Yeah, go ahead.
So
crystal ball approach.
Yeah, so film and television, there's been a lot of really interesting conversations if people want to be part of them. I was actually in a forum where we had all of the senior leadership across Canada, from National Film Board to Telefilm, kind of doing a bit of a conversation webinar the other day, and we were talking exactly about this, and it was really bringing up the conversation about what's the future going to hold based on what's happening in the market today. And I think the exciting news is that there's a lot of opportunity, and so where there seems to be a halt being put on any production in the Canadian marketplace right now. Of course. So it's film and television shut down until July. So no shooting. It will pick up again, and what's we're going to see is a bit of a surge, because the creators are going to be, and the networks are going to be hungry for content. Right. And so when we talk about short-term change, the people that are opportunistic and the creators that are opportunistic are going to be now using the time to create content, because
they're going to be at home writing. They're writing all the scripts. And putting together. Okay, I see it.
Getting ready for pitching.
In 5 years, there's going to be 5 blockbusters about the pandemic, right? And
I know,
and 50 documentaries of how this happened and the way this.
You got to think. You got to think beyond the pandemic.
No, I know. I'm just joking. There's so many people that's a good topic, right?
Pitching the pandemic.
Pitching the pandemic. The be all end all documentary about the pandemic. But
exactly, and I think, that even CBC has been so proactive during this time. They've already put out a relief fund for creators. So creators that are ready and are thinking already about the what's next have the opportunity to take advantage and really be part of the evolution to be ready for the change that is imminent. So even in the digital spectrum, there's a digital fund that's available that's just come up again from CBC on the radio side to support digital content creation. So for people that are willing to start thinking differently, and they want to support people in the community, I think during this time of change, there's a lot of opportunity for people that want to put their feet forward. So
that's really cool.
I think in film and television, there's already a lot happening. But I think when we think about even the future of the next 6 to 12 months, there's going to be even more push for more arts, culture, creativity, innovation.
Cool, because we're actually thinking about. So I've thought about this for a year with backers. So we're a digital platform, obviously, that facilitates raising capital for private corporations, kind of like a private securities exchange, I guess. Anyways, one of the things that I've thought about, and I actually approached the CBC and I had a conversation with someone about 6-8 months ago.
Excellent.
Was about putting on a show. We were going to just use their studios, but I'd love to see if we could get a full-on, sort of production going called Feedbackers. And the concept would be, we would have a panel of sort of your peers, maybe other entrepreneurs, other people that, would hear somebody's pitch, and then would give feedback on the pitch, on the product, on the idea, on the solution, kind of like a Dragon's Den, but with the reverse being that everyone watching could then very easily, with the click of a link or a button, invest in that idea. So it becomes like all the viewership, people at home can now support these local ideas, right? Whereas, the opposite happens on the Dragon's Den, where now you're reliant on the 5 dragons. Now it's the 500,000 people at home have a chance to just simply click, I'd like to support that idea. I'll put $500 into that business. But you get that kind of like controversial feedback from maybe a local entrepreneur on the panel that says, hey, you know what? Your idea sucks. Get off our stage. They maybe wouldn't be that negative, hopefully not, but you know, you get kind of that like controversial feedback.
Maybe more constructive.
Constructive, yeah, exactly. That sounds like a good idea, but you should do this. But yeah, I thought that would be kind of an interesting if we could get on CBC and pitch our idea. We're going to do it one way or the other. It's whether it's broadcast on, you know, cable television or through, you know, our networks of YouTube, Facebook, you know, sort of how we're pushing this out, right? So
you should check out the Relief Fund and see.
See if there's some ideas there, or see if we qualify for some of that, because that'd be cool. One of the things that I've learned, and I was joking with someone off air. I had a producer from TSN, Sportsnet. I should get that right, actually. He's from Sportsnet, TSN. They're like literally competitors. But anyways, he was from one of the major sports networks, and we were discussing sort of the cost and the production side, right? On the back end, right? And that's something that I think, you know, someone like myself who's like, hey, yeah, let's create a show. There's a lot of costs that go into that. Like I was talking to CBC about, you know, just studio space, and I was looking into just the space, not even the equipment necessarily. I mean, we're talking thousands, tens of thousands, maybe, you know, depending on how long it's going, hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the space. Then you start getting the equipment. Then obviously the staff, like the people, like the actual, you know, the heart and soul of it all. Like you're getting up there, right?
Depending.
Okay, tell me, you're the expert. Tell me a little bit about sort of if I'm a small business and I want to do something like that, or a medium-sized business, you know, and I want to put on something that I think will be entertaining and, you know, obviously benefit me in the long run and sort of the community and everything. You know, what are we looking at? What are, you know, from your expert opinion, you know, what are some of the thoughts that would go into that?
Yeah, so I think you have to be careful when you're costing stuff, especially on a production side. Like it's really, and people in the States, it's always going to be 10 times more than it would be in Canada.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you're willing to go indie, like indie budget, you can scrape together anything for anything.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Well, we should talk then.
So
are you interested in producing feedbackers?
Yeah.
We should talk.
That's the thing. Like,
let's see how we do
we should talk. We can talk about stuff like that, because like it's there's always opportunity, and there's always like the beautiful thing about the Canadian film industry is there's so many people that are absolutely willing to do and to work and to put themselves out there. That's what I've learned over the years.
Okay.
Got a lot of really talented people that really just want to do good work. So if there's a good idea, even if it's not on like a big network, there are some, like, there's just a great community of people in all facets of film and television that are they just want to work and they just want to do good, exciting projects. So if it makes sense,
they enjoy the journey more so than the end game, right? The money, the dollars at least, right? They obviously want a great product. They want to put out a great product. Yeah.
And that's listen, at the end of the day, you know, people need to make money. I mean, that's just a reality. That's how our world operates. Yeah. But there's ways to make things make sense.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll definitely, we'll keep in touch and talk about that for sure. So, okay, let's sort of switch gears a little bit into the marketing side and the big brands. I heard a statistic, and I love throwing out statistics.
I was going to say, you're going to statistics
unfounded statistics, but excellent. I heard that there was some number around restaurants. I've heard around retail stores that significant numbers, like 20-30% of retail stores that have closed will never reopen. I've heard that, there's 15 major retailers in Canada. Not that there's not just 15, but there are about 15 of them that are literally like facing bankruptcy. And so
I don't know that we're there quite yet. Yeah.
I heard some statistics, and I don't want to throw names out because I don't want to feed the fire. My question is more the other side, right? So what kind of opportunity, we talk about opportunity where there's, there's whatever, there's always opportunity. What does that, how can small businesses entrepreneurs, people that are starting out, you know, how can they take advantage of maybe what seemed insurmountable, you know, 6 months ago, 6 years ago, and now maybe there's an opportunity to sort of even that playing field, right? Like the internet, I think, has already done that, but now everyone's being forced into this world of, you know what, we're all in the same playing field. We can get in front of anyone. Everyone can sort of be equal. Or do you see it the other way because you've been a part of the bigger box stores and you're saying, you know what, all those little people need to watch out? What are your thoughts? Sorry, I didn't mean to position it that way. That wasn't, I meant just like, what's the dichotomy there between the
Get
two?
out of here, small businesses.
Yeah, small business. Loblaws is here to stay.
See you later.
Yeah, no, what are your thoughts like in that industry? I mean, similar to the film and television industry. What are your thoughts? What are you hearing, seeing from your clients? What is it?
So I'm gonna talk about two different things. One is it may seem on the outside that a lot of these big retailers, like the Loblaws of the world and the Walmarts and the Metros and stuff like that,
definitely those ones are not struggling. I wouldn't think because everyone's still shopping.
That's what I'm going to talk about.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah,
it may seem that sales are just going up, like because people are shopping and they're the only ones that are open and all of those types of, right? So it just may seem like on the outside that they're doing great. Right. But sales is not what drives profit. And it's not the only variable that drives profit. Yeah. And so at the end of the day,
supply chain is being damaged or like their costs of goods. So from there,
so there's multiple variables that impact that. And to your point, right? So the concern becomes that all of those organizations are compromised and are going through cost cutting and reprioritization exercises because it's not just about the sale of product at the store. There's so many other variables at play, including having to increase wages
the $2
at store level,
yeah,
right? And the having to support that comes from somewhere, right? Not only that, but then you also have to think of the increased safety measures that have to be put into place. So the increased
and they're already
use of
small
PPE,
margins, right? So you're cutting into that, right? Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of variables at play that actually, like the cost alone to implement PPE across all stores for a national retailer like a Loblaws or a Walmart is easily in excess of $30 million.
Wow.
So those types of things are what causes, I'm going to say, long-term change, because you can expect that some of these changes are probably not going to go away once this all kind of levels out. There's probably going to be still incremental safety measures that have cost implications that then roll down, right? Yeah. So will all of the big retailers survive this? Probably not. Right. I would say that there's probably going to be some big retailers that end up, it's always the game of who wins and who ends up exiting, right? And what is the impact on small business, right? Yeah. So I would say there is a larger, more immediate impact on small business, but it goes back to that, what you were saying. I think Canadian government has been doing what they can in order to support small business. But I think, how do you think differently as a small business owner? So everybody is being forced and challenged to think about, what does this mean, and how do you change, and how do you start to think differently? And I think that's going to be where small business owners have the opportunity to kind of step up and say, in this kind of time of monumental worldwide change, am I able to challenge myself to think differently so that I can step out of this and not necessarily have to rely on the same thing I was doing yesterday? Because I can't. Because everybody's being forced to change and do things differently. You can't do the same thing you were doing yesterday.
No, 100%.
So, and that's regardless of the industry. It doesn't matter if it's like a small little convenience store or a restaurant. Right.
Yeah, across the board. It's interesting you mentioned like changes that have happened. I was joking with a friend the other day. a few years ago,
Yeah.
we went down to Detroit, and I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
going into a convenience store, and they had the full plexiglass, right? And you you give your money in and whatever, and now you go to Metro, you got the full plexiglass. You got
Full
to hand it,
plexiglass,
right?
right?
You're like, wow, okay, is that going to be
Okay.
there forever, right?
And I bet when you went to that convenience store, you're like, oh, I've never seen that. They would
this
never
is-
do that in
yeah,
Toronto.
Yeah, this is crazy. Well, it was probably for
Yeah.
crime was the reason
Right.
they did it
It
there.
was, yeah.
But
totally.
it was just interesting, right? Now, yeah, it's kind of like that's going to be the new norm, right? Kind of social distance, or this whole hand your cash register out on a hockey stick, right? We were did a drive-through a couple days ago, and they had the cash machine taped to a hockey stick as she pushes it out the window. Yeah. Because they had like bins so that the car had to drive away from the window. So they had like these bins keeping you distance, so enabled for you to get to the cash thing and her not have to like reach out. They had it on a hockey stick.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, and now, so FedEx right now is not allowed to go into people's buildings.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you have to meet them out front. Yeah, Amazon, FedEx, all of that. Yeah.
So, yeah, like the stop and run.
Yeah, exactly.
Motto.
Yeah, there's no more door to door. We live in a condo.
No more.
Yeah, they can't come in the unit for sure. So there's a lot of changes there. So, and the handshake, will the handshake ever come back?
I hope so.
Yeah, I enjoy a good handshake.
So there's certain things about and we talk about this a lot, there's certain things about the past, right, that you want to come back, like human connection,
it's hard, right?
Connectivity.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's intrinsically emotional, and there's a lot of feeling around being able to sit next to a person, have a face-to-face conversation.
Yeah.
We all need that human interaction.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think there are things that we're learning about how we need to evolve.
Yeah.
We thought we were
I have a 4 and a 6-year-old, and we've been telling our 4-year-old to give grandma and grandpa a hug for, the past 4 years. He's always like, Finally, we went over there a couple weeks ago for a birthday party, celebrate my brother's birthday. We're all sort of standing on the driveway. They went up to give him a hug, and he's like, stay away, right? So it's like mixed messages to a 4-year-old, right? You've got, give him a hug, don't give him a hug.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, it's so hard for them, right? But yeah, it's interesting. We're all in this together though. But okay, so we'll sort of let me go into not the prognosticator. Let's forget about COVID. We're all going to be better. It's going to be positive. Nothing but blue skies ahead. So let's talk about if you're a small business owner, you're working with them through Double J. What are some of the things that you would tell somebody to do right now to prep for blue skies ahead, and and what are some of the things you're telling people to do?
Yeah, definitely. I would say one of the things that's so important today is to be mindful and compassionate. So being mindful and being very compassionate with yourself. Okay. And so by that, I mean, you have to really allow yourself the space to understand that there's just so much going on. Like, great example, like you have kids at home and you're trying to work, and you have to give yourself the space to know that not everything is going to be perfect.
Right.
And allow yourself the moments to breathe and be okay with that. Because in times of change, things are very overwhelming. Yeah. And so you have to take things a little bit differently. It's not going to be the same as it was before. And you have to accept that and really understand that this new normal, or this business as usual, as people say, it's just not that way. And so really owning and accepting that, and then using that acceptance to help to start to move forward.
I like that. It's interesting you're saying, so don't beat yourself up about it, right?
No. And really, and use that sort of compassion-based mindset to be a little bit more aware with even the people around you, that everybody is experiencing things a little bit differently today.
Right.
So we just got to allow a little room of forgiveness and all of that.
Yeah. So take a little step back and not be so uptight about different things, both for yourself and for others, right? So it's there's a
That's
lot more
correct.
acceptance because we realize that everyone is going through this. And so I've heard, actually we'll talk about it, TikTok. So
TikTok.
you got to get on TikTok, right? Everyone get on TikTok. It's so much fun. Even if you're
Yes.
not doing it for business, I know people like Gary Vee have been like, it's great for marketing and business. I would say not so much. Maybe, I don't know, branding, personal branding, who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe there's a little bit of that if you want to get into that side of things. I'm sure there's advantages there. I'm using it just purely for fun, doing crazy dances, or crazy other stuff.
So you're active on TikTok?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't search it. Don't look it
All
up.
right. All right.
It's supposed to be like, if you know me in real life, please scroll past or whatever, right? It's like, don't watch.
Okay.
Right? But
No judgment.
No judgment. Exactly. I think
No
that's
judgment.
the whole. It's just having fun. But
yeah.
I heard someone talking on there. It's like, this is the first time in human history where every single person across the globe is facing the exact same thing.
Yes.
Like uniformly across the globe, everyone is facing the exact thing. We're all in lockdown. Every country, every culture, every race, every creed, every religion, rich, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how poor you are, you're all, now obviously you're facing different degrees of things, but arguably we're all facing the same sort of pandemic lockdown, right? So it's impacting everyone's life, maybe in many different ways, but it's still, everyone's impacted by it, which is never happened.
And quite frankly, the pandemic is change at its best.
Right.
The train coming into the station at full speed, and it ain't gonna stop.
Right.
You don't have a choice in this one. This is a non-optional, right?
Get off the track.
Like the train is coming full speed ahead. You don't have a choice. Everybody just has to deal with it. And everybody is doing, you know what? When faced with change, people do a much better job with it than they give themselves credit for.
Yeah.
And that's
I think
that's something that we have to acknowledge as people, is that we're actually a little bit more adaptable and a little bit better with change than we actually give ourselves credit.
A little more resilient, for sure, right?
For sure.
But I think we also have to realize, as just like you mentioned before, being compassionate to yourself, but also to others, right? So that, if maybe they're not dealing with it as well as you are, so give them a little bit of leeway, right? Or realize that maybe they don't have the whatever resources, support, financial, whether it be emotional, because I've talked to some people where they're alone. Like I was actually just on a call earlier today with somebody who's arguably alone in an apartment building, in his apartment for the past 6 weeks, because he doesn't have family, he has family, but no wife, kids, so it's got to be a little bit difficult, right? To kind of,
absolutely,
just different mindset, right? I've got 2 little kids that I love, but sometimes like, oh my God, let me out of here, right? But
it's a great example. Like I'm one of my closest friends is alone, and a couple of days ago she called me and she was in tears because it's really difficult. And to your point, I'm fortunate. I have my husband and my puppy and lots of distraction, but not everybody is like that. And so that's the part that we have to really understand, is no situation is the same. There's no two situations that are the same.
Exactly. Just be compassionate that everyone's going through something. You don't necessarily, it's almost like you say this all the time, walk a mile in someone's shoes, right? But at least now I think everyone's walking that same mile, just in different shoes, right? So we can all realize that we're all in a difficult time, right? So it's maybe the first time that we've ever all been in a difficult time where you can at least be like, you know what? It's tough times right now. So everyone can be a little more compassionate. So let's talk about more tactical stuff around building your brand, because I saw your face light up a little bit when I said TikTok wasn't for business, and about brand building. I'm all about brand building. I'm all about brand building and personal brand and brand. And I think TikTok has its place maybe for that, but I'm more about having fun.
Maybe.
I was just gonna pull one up and see if I could.
Can you?
You want to see a TikTok live on one that I've done?
I would love to.
You don't want to see here. This is a funny one, I guess. I don't know.
What do you do?
So Did you hear the Supreme
Hear
Leader?
Yes.
And then it's like, and then I hear who's replaced him? His brother.
I know.
Kim Jong-un. Like, duh. And I'm wearing anyways, that's stupidity.
I've heard, yeah, and I wouldn't say that it's not necessarily a marketing or branding tool.
No, it can be, and I think as the world of moves forward, I think it's doubled its user base in the past 6 weeks. Right, it went from 800 million to 1.6 billion. Right, so there's a lot of people on there talking about marketing and branding and different things,
right?
And that's fine. It's great for that. And maybe someday I'll use the followers that I have, and I'll throw a message out there and say, hey, you should check out Backers. Who knows? You can always cross-pollinate, a small amount, but or you can make funny comedic things. I'm just fooling around with it, learning how to kind of, do different things. And, I have a couple of posts that have 10, 12,000 views, which I think is insane. Like, I have no followers. I think I've just passed the 100 follower mark, and I have videos that have 12,000 views.
Interesting.
I have multiple. I actually have one that's got over 12,000 and a couple over 10,000. And I've got a ton that are in the 1 to 3,000. And I literally have less than 100 followers. So it's.
I get your site, your TikTok account.
I'm not going to say.
I'm curious. I'm very.
I'll tell you off air. But anyways, yeah, okay. They have to find it. There you go. That's your goal. Go find my TikTok account. But no, don't.
Really?
Not your goal. I'm talking about the people watching. Yeah, I'll tell you afterwards. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's fun. It's enjoyable. Like for me, I see a lot of people on there just having fun. It's a creative outlet, right?
And so for brands that's kind of what the essence of their brand is about, then it's an appropriate space for them to play in.
Yes, 100%. If your brand is fun and enjoyable, like right? So the NBA is on there, some of the ESPN stuff like that.
Exactly.
I've thought about how backers could potentially use it. Maybe doing some different little skits or different things. I just at this moment don't really have the time or energy to put a backers spin into TikTok. I'm doing things like this on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and we're kind of more focused on this type of talk, which I'm not sure plays on TikTok, although it might. Who knows?
So, and that's the thing.
Your thoughts?
I was going to say, so it's better to have quality in a smaller amount of marketing vehicles than to have the quantity, like the breadth, but then not have quality, right? And have engagement. So you want to get engagement within the funnels that you're in, because otherwise you lose momentum and then you lose your audience.
Right. Exactly.
And so it just becomes,
and different audiences, right? So you have to do different types of content, and it becomes, you're a little kind of
very time consuming,
spread too thin, right? And right now we're already, we kind of dispersed everyone, we closed our office and stuff like that. So it's sort of everyone's everywhere. So, I think it'd be really cool. We were actually looking at getting a studio space, a permanent studio space, to do things like this, like a live type of broadcast and different things. And we could bring in clients and they could do different broadcasts. We could have a whole studio as part of our offering to the issuers, right? That obviously has gone sort of pushed aside a little bit, right? For short term, but for now.
Yeah.
But I think if we had that up, we could do fun, cool little things and constantly have ideas. Like I'm crazy with the ideas, but I just don't have the outlet. And I found this from a personal side is cool.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool if we could apply it to a business side as well. So.
You could, based on, depending on where you go and like what your vision is.
Yeah.
And that could be very well, if it's lined up with what your brand kind of is locked up in.
Yeah.
Then for sure.
And I think the demographics of a TikTok are changing, right? The demographics of an Instagram are changing. I hear everyone on TikTok saying, hey, I haven't been on Instagram in weeks, right? So it's like almost like they've just stolen all of the users over to TikTok. So it's kind of interesting. This became a
Which
whole
they
TikTok
probably have to a certain
conversation.
demographic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
it's changing. Yeah, we've
We've
completely,
kind of gone,
yeah,
we went
yeah,
in a different direction. But yeah,
yeah,
I think they would take a certain portion of the demographic off of Instagram.
yeah, yeah,
It's kind of, that's sort of what happens when new social media tools start out, right?
yeah. It's for
They kind
youngers,
of,
and then
they
they get
start out with
older, older,
that,
older.
and then and
Yeah,
then you get into the marketing and branding, and the marketing and branding kind of creates that plateau, but neutralizes the demographic as well.
right.
And that's when you find kind of your core,
Yeah,
and then the audience kind of, yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm gonna say the core is 30-year-olds like us, right?
oh yeah,
30-year-olds like
yes,
you and I, right?
yes.
29-year-olds.
Ex-
Exactly,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the younger
exactly.
demo. Anyways,
We'll
cool.
just put a little bit
Yeah, I don't know. There's
of
no
makeup
gray, no
there
grays in there. Yeah,
and a little touch there.
exactly, exactly. Cool. Well, we'll end it off. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll end it off with that. I'm gonna have one last question.
Sure.
Two questions, I guess, two parts. One is, what are you
Yeah.
guys? What are you and Courtney eating for lockdown? What is your go-to food right now? Ours is craft dinner.
I only
We've
get
gone
one.
through a case. Yeah, we've gone through a case of craft dinner. I've told this about 5 times on this video, but yeah, go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
These were poor parents.
I guess
probably,
one of our go-tos has been pizza, which
okay.
is it's a plant-based. So
Okay.
we're kind of based, which is good to go to, right?
Kind of vegans, did you say? You kind of cut in and out there for a second. You said you're kind of vegans?
Like vegan plant-based
Okay.
pizzas, which is kind of like, well, I'm not vegan, but we went to plant-based pizzas, and I'm not sure why. So that's
Okay.
kind of just been like a weird kind of go-to for us.
Yeah, yeah. My wife's ordered these
Yeah.
things. I think they're called Good Food. They're like it's like a delivery, and they
Oh,
basically
yeah.
deliver all of. Is it called Good Food? Hello Fresh. Sorry, Hello Fresh. I just got the
Oh,
one
Hello
from
Fresh. I haven't tried
Hello
them yet.
Fresh. Yeah, so they come in a box, or
Yes.
sort of like a baggish box type thing with all the ingredients, and then there's like a it was good. It's had like a Beyond Meat pitas with vegetable. It was pretty good. Yeah, the other day with like hummus and stuff like
I'll give that a try.
Yeah, Hello
I'll give
Fresh
that a try.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, we've ordered a couple of those. Yeah, so that's cool.
I was gonna say wine, and then I was like, I don't think
Wine,
that's appropriate.
yeah.
I don't think that should. I don't feel like that should be a go.
That's not a food group, but hey,
I know,
there's grapes in there somewhere.
That doesn't count, right?
Yeah. Exactly. By the box.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Okay.
let's put that as a food group.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So we'll end it with one last thing. If you had to give yourself, the younger you, yourself now, someone that's coming up, that is looking into entrepreneurship, is looking into starting something out, whatever that is. Obviously, the world's changing, so maybe they are starting something new career, new skill, whatever. What would that one piece of advice be that you would give?
Be kind.
Be kind. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. This is totally different from a lot of our other conversations. Different mindset. Yeah. And that's good. It's good. I mean, everyone else is like, stick to it, perseverance. But throughout this conversation, it's all about kindness, compassion, realizing, right? That's good.
Yeah. And like, be kind and be open to people. Like, it's all about people, the world, partnerships. Ultimately, if you want to succeed, it's about the people around you and the people that support you. So you've got to be kind to those people.
Right. Relationships, for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we'll end it on that. Again, thank you very much, Jennifer, for joining me, and
thanks for having me.
Stay safe.
You too.
Everyone else, thank you for joining me on Powered by Backers. This is pretty much the last episode, actually.
Oh my goodness.
We're going to be switching gears a little bit. This is the last Ask the Experts. We're going to go into a slightly different direction. So you are our final expert. So thank you very much. Where can they find you, actually?
Thank you.
I'll throw that out there. Where can they find you? Website, Instagram, TikTok. You're going to tell us where your TikTok is or where it's going to be?
Yeah, it's my TikTok. My website is one.ca or doublejlifestyle.com.
Okay.
And J Lifestyle. Yeah.
So
totally.
you kind of cut out there. So let's just say that
Oh,
again.
did I?
So doublej.com.
doublejlifestyle.com.
doublejlifestyle.com.
admit1.ca.
admit1.ca.
Yeah. And then my Instagram is Double J Lifestyle.
Double J Lifestyle. Okay, cool. So they can check you out. Awesome. Well, Double J, Jennifer, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Look forward to talking again, and we should definitely talk about production and stuff like that, because I think we're sort of shifting
always
into
open.
that. So
yeah,
so we'll
please
talk
do
a little bit about that. Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
I would love
well,
to. I'd love to anytime.
And next time we can cheers. That's what we talked about. Oh, did you bring?
Yes, next.
We were supposed to have a glass of wine.
I have water.
Oh yeah, I've got an empty Gatorade bottle, but yeah.
Then you owe me a cheers next time.
So cheers to that, exactly.
Cheers to that.
Awesome. Cool.
Have
well,
a
enjoy your
terrific
day.
day.
Yeah, awesome. You too.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everyone. See you guys.
OMG,
Bye.
baby, tell them.